Welcome and thank you everyone for joining us for another Twitter Space. Today is July 29th, 2022, and this is episode number 17 of the ledgerscale Internet of Value Open Forum. A ledgerscale Foundation was founded with two goals in mind. One, we want to provide educational services to not only our community, but to the entire digital asset community, and scale up the number of brains that understand how distributed ledger technology works. And two, we intend to one day run hardware to provide infrastructural support to the distributed ledger technology networks that we believe are ESG friendly and running a form of decentralized consensus. We host these spaces Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, starting at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And on Wednesday, we hold the focus topic from 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time space. And if I could just ask if you could give our Twitter a follow at ledgerscale and turn notifications on so you know we're going live, and as well as retweet the space when you get a chance so that not only yourself but maybe others can find this valuable in the future.
Yeah, and we appreciate everyone joining. The whole deal here is to engage the community. And this is an open forum. So if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand. I see a couple familiar faces, so I think you guys know the gig. And if you're wondering something or are curious about something, definitely somebody else is going to be, just be courteous if you do choose to speak up, and welcome to the space.
How you doing today, Karma? How's the weather in the south?
So far it's beautiful. I thought it might rain, but I call them big fluffies. When they stack up over the land and not the ocean in the morning, particularly, then you know it's going to rain later. But it hadn't rained yet. It's usually 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock if it does that. But yeah, it's nice. Trying to talk. Well, I reached back out. He hadn't responded yet. I just checked. To the guy up in where we might put some machines. So I'm sure he'll get back to me. He might be traveling or something.
What's up, Tony?
Hey, Dad. What's up, Karma? What's up, OC? You guys read the Babel news? Babel Finance?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see anything today.
So they lost $280 million worth of people's assets in June alone.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
From
So
a
the Babel
hack?
Finance? No, just by trading. They took, how exchanges trade your assets without you knowing. So Babel Finance, which is in Hong Kong, crypto lender, they lost. It shows they have documents that show that they lost about 8,000 Bitcoin and 56,000 Ether in June.
See, in the traditional this is part of one of the things that had to change. This was a big focus in the Dodd-Frank. So when 2008 happened, there used to be rules. Well, first off, separating a commercial bank from an investment bank. We basically don't have investment banks anymore. Investment banks could trade their own book, right? Liquidity providers, market makers, if you will. And then the Dodd-Frank rules came in because so investment banks didn't have access to the Fed, but the Fed needed to basically bail them out. So they had to change their legal structure to become commercial banks so the Fed could bail them out. Then you had Dodd-Frank come in, and there's a whole big chunk of Dodd-Frank that's applied to how and under what circumstances a bank is allowed to trade their own book, because they can trade against their clients. Goldman Sachs got in trouble for this because they were selling swaps to customers, right? And then they were betting against the swaps on mortgage-backed securities, like collateralized asset, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, there's reasons why there's rules for this stuff. I mean, because now if the bank screws up trying to trade their own book, the customers eat it. Because the money's gone, right? I'm assuming in this situation.
Yeah, it's funny. Even the FDIC came out today and said the FDIC has stated that deposit insurance does not apply in an event of a cryptocurrency company failure.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
They told Voyager to stop making misleading statements too, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't know. Did they say that also?
No, my bad. I was trying to read the article, so I was like half and half. But they came out and they said that they're warning Voyager to stop making misleading statements about their assets being protected.
Yeah. Because they're like, listen, use us as a crypto exchange. We're FDIC insured, but it has nothing to do with crypto.
No, the only way that you could make a kind of shady claim there would be, like, let's say I run an exchange and I have like an account at a bank. The bank has FDIC insurance, right? You know, so technically I'm FDIC insured, but that doesn't mean that the crypto assets you deposit with my exchange are FDIC insured.
Exactly. Yeah, but they go around saying, hey, listen, don't worry, guys. We're safe. We're FDIC insured. But it means nothing. It's kind of like how the FDA says, like all natural. You see all natural and everything, but it's not a term recognized by the FDA. It means nothing.
Well, why are they just giving them a warning? I mean, people's money was lost because of misleading statements.
Yeah, it's extremely misleading. But there is, if you put crypto in, that's not insured by anyone anywhere. But if you do put U.S. dollars in, and you still have U.S. dollars in your account at the exchange, and they do have the U.S. dollars in an FDIC account, then you would still be protected what's called FDIC pass-through insurance. So you should still theoretically be protected, but just for your US dollars, not for any of the cryptocurrency. And they also have to be executing it correctly, because FDIC insurance is only $250,000 per account. So they actually need to have it spread across like many banks and many accounts, which eventually you run out of if they're holding a lot of money. So not all of it ends up being FDIC insured. And then they end up putting money in other things like money markets, which isn't FDIC insured, or treasury bills, which is not FDIC insured, and other type assets. And then you don't know really what your USD is being held in and how much is allocated to FDIC insured accounts or not. So it's pretty much just, as Tony mentioned, they say it more for the misleading aspect of it, to trick people and feel safe.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm reading the article that I was just saying about Babel. And it says the company had apparently been conducting proprietary trading with customers' funds. It remains unclear based on reporting if users were or are aware their crypto was or is being used in this way. The company has not put out any formal statement about the issue.
Proprietary trading that's the technical term for what I call trading their own book. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, that's why there's rules against this kind of behavior.
Well, I mean, this could be like another domino to fall. And now, how many companies are tied into this crypto lender? It goes on to say last month the company halted withdrawals on its platform around the same time everything was going down. And then the documents that they saw, because apparently Gizmodo is the one that's breaking this story or broke the story. Says the documents that they saw, they're basically throwing the workers under the bus for operating outside the company's normal business, which otherwise has been running smoothly, apparently.
Crazy, right? It's a crazy world we live in, but they're not going to get away with it in the long run. This stuff will end eventually.
$280 million. And obviously that could change even more depending if it goes up or down. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say it again also yesterday. If you've ever used Celsius, anyone in here, if you have an email and a password that you use on Celsius and you use it anywhere else, I would change it because one of their insiders inside of their place sold the information.
That's actually one of the one of the main ways a lot of companies have data breaches. It's usually a disgruntled employee.
Oh, so we do have already the first casualty today or yesterday already in Thailand. Exchange from Thailand, Zipmex filed for bankruptcy protection, saying it had around $48 million invested in Babel and another $5 million in fellow failed crypto trading platform Celsius. Dominoes beginning to fall.
Yeah, Q4.
I don't know if I look at all this as dominoes falling and like, the sky is falling. I actually think a lot of this stuff is healthy. This is market maturing. Some people got over leveraged. That's their choice. Where they get over leveraged and maybe trying to trade their own book and other people pay the price. Okay, that's different. But, if I choose to get over leveraged and I lose my ass, then okay, that's my bad, right? Like I screwed up. So I think some of this is good, frankly. I mean, it's not fun, like it's more fun to like see markets go up and up and up to the right, but still you got to have some, just healthy.
I hear you.
Well, apparently they have a plan to restructure all of this mess. It says with plans to convert $150 billion of creditors' debt into bonds and then raise more in investments.
Ah, the classic restructuring word. Wait, say that again. They want to sell bonds.
Yeah. $150 million of creditor debt into bonds, then raise more in investments. The company has previously shown a $2 billion valuation, thanks to institutional investors. But they're refusing to answer any questions from Gizmodo.
Oh boy.
So one exchange is down. We'll see over the next couple of days how many more exchanges were tied into them.
Hey, let's go back to we're going to have a decentralized currency, but we're just going to run it through a bunch of centralized exchanges. I mean, I don't like, and I mean, this is like very reminiscent of 08, where you had all the banks, and now we don't really have. It's not exactly the same because not the same exact financial instruments, because the derivatives and stuff, but don't really truly exist. I mean, there's some out there, but I mean, this is one of the reasons the XRP ledgers DEX like was so cool. And from the very beginning, it's like, hey, the thing you can see everything's right there on the ledger. You know, once you go into these centralized exchanges, you don't know what arrangements exchange A has with exchange B, has, I mean, to your point, has with exchange C. Like, if one of them goes down, this is the story of '08. If one of them goes down, like Lehman, well, they saved, was it Bear? I think they saved Bear. Lehman went down. Had AIG gone down, you would have had system collapse. It was already spread over to Europe and to the Asian markets through AIG. Like, you know, they had to save AIG. I mean, it you know, which was kind of a slap in the face to the Lehman guys. And I traded with a guy who was right across literally 3-4 feet away from me when Lehman went down. He lost $200,000. He was logged in to work. You can't trade your own account. He couldn't do anything. He just sat there and worked like a shift and lost like 200 something grand because he had traded for Lehman before. So the majority of his retirement was in Lehman stock. I mean, yeah. But saving AIG was definitely a slap in the face to the Lehman guys. But the AIG was so much bigger and international. And actually, England is the one that screwed that up because they had a deal with Barclays, and then I think, I don't know which government it was or which agency, but I think it was the central bank or whatever they call their Congress, Parliament or something. They said, no, we're not going to let Barclays buy this deal because it'll bring the financial contagion into our English financial network. And when that happened, oh no, that was for Lehman. Or no, was that AIG? I don't know. Anyway, then the Fed stepped in and saved AIG because they had to. Or else you're looking at system collapse. And it would have gone everywhere around the world. I mean, it did anyway, but it would have been way, way, way worse. And you're kind of seeing the same thing unfold here to some degree. At least if I'm seeing this crypto situation appropriately. Maybe I'm off, but you don't know how all these exchanges are connected.
And that's why I was saying the dominoes could begin to fall again.
Well, this is why I don't use exchanges. Self-custody. Right? I mean, we talk about this all the time in here. This is why I think self-custody is such a big legal issue, because if I'm forced to use an exchange and that exchange operator, you know, leverages themselves up for some proprietary trading his own book efforts, and then he screws up, and then now like my collateral's gone, I'm going to eat it for his benefit of trying to profit. No, I'm not playing that game.
Looks like Rosie Rios also is back in some sort of White House position. She just became the chairwoman of the Federal Semi-Quintessential Commission.
Can they hold government positions and be on the board of private companies at the same time?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of position this is.
Did you see her new shitcoin, Unicoin?
I knew she was doing the project where they're like unicorn hunting with crowdfunded kind of, you know, money looking scheme.
It's a TV show, right?
Yeah. So I knew about the activity, so it doesn't surprise me that they got a coin attached to it too.
Yeah. So it's a coin attached to it that's a security, And essentially, it's not like Shark Tank where they're using their own money. They're using other people's money who have bought Unicoin. And you can only get Unicoin from, the Unicoin Hunter website and so forth. And then they use that money and then they put the equity, they take all their fees along the way, but they put the equity supposedly behind these companies they pick, in a basket that's, then backing Unicoin. And, she's one of the directors on the board of that company, and she's on the show.
Right, but in that scenario, right, it's probably just being offered and used by accredited investors only inside their little closed loop. So, I mean, they know it's a security, they know the risk. Like it's really nothing different at the end of the day, just kind of being marketed as a token kind of thing, right? Just for probably attention.
That's right. They you have to be accredited, and they did register it as a security up front.
It's cool. Good for her.
Yeah, I don't know if you were in one of the. I don't know if you're speaking or not. I just can't hear. But I don't know if you were in one of the rooms before scams. But I think ultimately, as the blockchain technology grows, right, you probably need to see more of that. You know, people not trying to necessarily go around certain rules, right? But just you know, call it what it call a spade, right? And if you can get that capital, make that capital useful for something that ends up contributing to the GDP or helping out a cause or whatever that's close to, your particular heart or whatever. Like that's what this stuff ultimately is supposed to do, I would assume.
Yeah, but I just don't understand why it needs a token.
I don't really like the call the spade a spade phrase. That has a pretty negative racial connotation to it.
Noted.
Around here it does.
I mean, so what?
Yeah, no, I was getting the marketing aspect of putting the coin in there may be definitely questionable, right? But I was just trying to allude to like getting the money out of being trapped in the silos. Because here again, when we were talking about the failure of the exchanges, right, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's kind of what happens when you just leave all of this money trapped into this kind of crypto niche world, right? There's nothing but to do with it, but put it over here, trade it, try to make some more off of it, and assume the risk that comes with it, right? So like it has to breach the value has to breach outside of this little niche crypto environment to like build a project that's a real project, right? Or fund the next, you know, Apple idea or whatever the next whatever it's going to be. I just use that as an example, but like that's where the capital needs to eventually end up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just don't understand why a coin is needed because they have things like this today. I mean, you can buy into funds. Again, you have to be an accredited investor, but there are funds that will go out there and companies will and this is not new. Like this has been going on for decades, and those companies will invest and put them in a. They basically make a separate LLC for it, and they they'll buy into equity rounds, early seed rounds of these companies that aren't, unicorn status yet, which means over $1 billion valuation. So, I mean, this has existed for a long time. I just don't know why it needs a coin to do that all of a sudden. It's worked fine for decades without a coin. So I just feel like it's a little gimmicky to introduce a coin to do it all of a sudden.
But it was gimmicky to do a show, right? I mean, so that it's clear that they're willing and to go the route of being gimmicky, right? To attack that they're that gimmick from the
You're rugging pretty hard.
yeah from the get go.
Is he rugging for anyone else?
Yeah, I think you might have lost service right there. You there, Costa?
Yeah, I'm still here. I
Not
just
around.
got off the headphone because I figured it might have been interfering.
Yeah, it broke up. Yeah, hey, you're also up here if you'd like to, and Danny also. Welcome, guys. If you'd like to add anything in, Too Cold also. If you guys would like to add anything in, feel free to, please, also.
The dilemma is I might have to change the topic to NFTs very quickly if possible.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah, I had an interaction with a guy, and he was talking about the Unity NFT. It's not out there yet. It looks highly interesting, but I don't know if it would be legitimate or not. Does anybody know about the Unity NFT?
I do not. Who's the team? What network is it on? Are they doing their own network? What's the purpose of the NFT?
That's the thing. It's somewhat limited. I'm at their website. The only thing I can kind of see is founder Jumana Khan, Postman 1,000 giveaways. So they're just telling what they do. Private Discord for holders, 25% allocated for marketing, giveaway drops. There's no other information. Aggressive marketing, NFT plus whitelist spots. I think it just started. It's recent, probably.
Is it like an art NFT or?
Yes, yes, it's correct. An art NFT that kind of looks 3D rendered from what it looks like. I can always put it in a tweet and send it out on a nest if you would like.
Yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and do that, but I don't know. I've never heard of it. I mean, I would need like answers to all those questions and probably more just to.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about it. Same here, because I think it's probably new. It's limited information, but I'll try and put it on a nest.
Cool. XRPA, welcome as well. If you have anything you'd like to bring up. Oh, Shellfish, what you went down?
Oh yeah, I saw her up here. Anyway. Should come back up here. Let me invite you.
I sent it as well. R6, unless you're working.
So I was rereading some of the AMM stuff today. It still hasn't fully sunk in yet. I feel like I can say I'm done with like seeing the thing.
Oh, all I heard was just very loud beeps.
Did anybody chime in on that Metropolis chat earlier? I completely missed it.
No, I didn't even know there was a Metropolis chat. You want to go into it?
I wish I could. I missed it. It was at lunchtime and I was busy. I was just wondering if anybody else had caught it, if there's any word.
No. Do you know what Metropolis is?
It's a NFT land project, I believe.
Yeah, so they're trying to be some sort of multi-chain metaverse. So a game basically where their game is the metaverse, and I guess you can interact in their game with the different blockchains.
So similar to Ledger City?
Yeah, similar. But other than that, I have no idea anything. They're going to be on ETH also.
Yeah, did anyone happen to notice that I saw it earlier, that the project that was using it for land registry, I forgot, I think it was somewhere in Latin America. I think they officially went live with like one of their first transactions or something. Did
Colombia.
anybody?
Colombia.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting to see from that perspective, right? That the ledger is being used for, a broad range of things, right? from a development perspective going forward. Like I think we're going to quickly see the carbon credits kind of thing roll out. Even if you're not big on NFTs, like I'm not personally, but even those for Providence with products and marketing for products with Lotus and Jordan, and so the diversity of use cases, man, is one of the most impressive things that kind of really came out of nowhere for 2022 for me. Like I didn't think we would see as much development with some of these things that really have nothing to do with payments. I won't say nothing to do with payments, but are loosely affiliated with payments. So I think that's very, very encouraging.
Yeah,
I think this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I agree with you, or I concur. Like the a number of use cases. I mean, think about anything that can be owned. It could be a physical item. It could be a digital item. I think like with the games and stuff, you have your digital items. That's probably the lower hanging fruit in terms of like if you want to build an NFT business. It's going to be, yeah, I think it's broadly applicable. I mean, anytime you have just like a one thing, like this is my tennis ball, right? It's not your tennis ball, it's my tennis ball. Like you could account for that, I guess, with an NFT if you wanted to. I don't know why that would make sense, but theoretically.
And I'm not real familiar with the Root network, but I read in that report that XRP is essentially going to act as the gas mechanism for the Root network now. So again, another completely new use case that just kind of was born organically that wasn't on my radar for sure.
Oh, I haven't heard that. So what are they acting as like a side chain, like a layer 2, and using validation of the transaction on the XRP ledger?
I didn't get the details. I caught it in the market report. So they mentioned it in the market report. So yeah, I'll have to dig deeper to get the details. But yeah, they literally used the phrase gas token for the Root network. I'm not even familiar with what the Root network is. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this integration folds out. But there's obviously a lot of trust from this building, I should say, right? For the robustness and the functionality of the XRP ledger, right? Outside of just like I was saying a minute ago, just the payment aspect of it. They're like, if I need a particular functionality, right, then having access to it in a cheap manner that, is going to have 100% uptime, no single point of authority, like it's starting to prove value, at least it appears to be. And so it's interesting to follow.
Wolf, did you have your hand up a minute ago?
Yeah, I just wondering. Thanks for having me up, by the way. If you can answer this at all, but isn't there a lot of banks that will vanish totally when this transfer will occur to the CBDCs and things like that?
No, no. That business model's not going anywhere. They might face some new competition that they basically haven't faced new competition, like a new business model competition in hundreds of years. So like no banker alive has dealt with this. But no, the fundamentals are all the same. I mean, I think actually we can improve the system. Sorry, I got something in my throat.
All right, thanks. Also, when all these banks are going to put up their own applications and upgrade it, do you think that some banks will choose to have locked systems where you only have these CBDCs where you can't swap to XRP at all? Or will all the bank application have this functionality like the Exum wallet?
They'll probably, and I would assume, act as an intermediary, right? So let's say you run a business in the US, you want to pay someone in the Eurozone or I don't know, some other place. And they just help facilitate, like, you don't care if you're using XRP. You care that, like, you want to pay somebody or get paid get paid by somebody. You just you don't want to set it. I mean, you already have a bank account, right? Like, for your business, and you just do the freaking thing and whatever. And the bank can like use like a line of credit type thing from Ripple, and they can make a spread on that, providing of the liquidity, and they're happy, they're profitable. You're, as far as you're concerned, you're either paid or paid the person you wanted to pay, and then you just move on with your day. I mean, I think they'll be part of the network. I mean, banking is a network business.
And we're in a network age, and so this kind of goes into what you guys were talking about, Kasha, before, about like them registering the land as digital IOUs, right? Representations on the blockchain. And so I think the TOE and the tokenization of everything, right? TOE is really going to occur in the next, 5 to 10 years, and we will really just have a digital representation of every physical item.
Yeah, looking short, medium term or long term, definitely headed in something in that direction. But if we just kind of go with what the current information we kind of have access to, I think Brian Brooks, and his name Brian Brooks, has recently made some statements about regulations that they expect to come out from the OCC. We've heard other departments talk about, banking regulations that are soon to seem to come out, right? So I think they're going to basically have some type of trusted custody provider, and I think that's why PolySign and some other people out there are probably vying to be that custody provider for these major institutions. And then once they get a lot of those arrangements kind of set in, they're just going to try to sell it to a lot of the market that is just yet to come into the space that they've already identified would come to the space if they were offered it through, a trusted intermediary, so to speak, right? So I really think that's just the short-term plan that we really could expect as far as banking participation, right? It's just they're going to set up their arrangements, and they're going to start selling this stuff and making a profit off of selling. Like, at the end of the day, what's probably one of their biggest motivations at this point, right? Like, finding a new source of revenue, right? Like, yeah, the dollar could fall, all these other things on the extremes could happen. But at the end of the day, good old just finding a new revenue stream, man, would do well with a lot of these people. So I think that's what we probably can expect in the short term.
All right, guys. Thanks for clearing that up.
Well, finding new revenue streams, I guess there's different flavors of that, because to me that starts butting up against finding a new business model, which is a whole nother ball of wax. I mean, I guess you could, sell into a different market with the same business model, right? Like, I sell to weddings, conferences, executive retreats, golf tournaments, blah, 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 scavenger hunts, proms, university things. Each one of those, I guess you could say, is a new revenue stream, but it's the same business again and again and again. When you get to the business model part, that's where you're basically creating a new business. I mean, isn't a business almost defined by its business model?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it as an observer, right? So that's the perspective that I come from. Like, we see Fidelity saying they're going to offer some new crypto ETP or whatever acronym they're putting on it, right? And then the other people complaining about, well, should you really be offering this product? But I'm assuming, right, that Fidelity has identified that they have the demand for it, right? And what the potential profit for that product is, and Fidelity's going for it, right? And I think we're just going to see more people kind of do that same thing as we move forward.
Well, Fidelity put $1 billion on the table to start up their own crypto exchange a few years back. I haven't kept up with exactly where it is. It's been a little while, like a couple months since I checked on it. I don't think it's live yet. But then I saw another thing, and you got to realize, man, they're a behemoth. They're a behemoth. It's them and Vanguard. That's basically, that's basically all your 401k money. So if those two companies enable people to allocate any percentage of their retirement funds into crypto, which I mean, I think this day will come at some point. It's going to be, how people for years talked about, oh, the institutional money. It's not really the institutional money. It's really all the retirement funds. I mean, the institutions have to enable it. Not going to do that without laws. Just not. Not going to happen. But that really is a big thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe someone else can speak to this as well. But like, is it reasonable to assume? And this is really a question: is it reasonable to assume, with the access to capital and infrastructure that can analyze data and people who can analyze data, that they've done a lot of homework to see what the return on that $1 billion or the return on offering the ETP product actually is at the end of the day? Because that's the assumption that I'm making, right? That they've used the capital to get that number.
Well, I think they're looking at it from the basically I would look at their effort in it, at least from what I understand about it. It just looks like they want to be like a Coinbase competitor, right? Except Coinbase had to start from scratch, and I'm not a big fan of Coinbase. But Fidelity already has half of the 401k money. I mean, we're talking over $1 trillion worth of capital under management. It's so I do and have been pretty critical about how the U.S. government's not made laws and stuff. But the thing is, the U.S. government's so big, it's like the same thing with Fidelity. When Fidelity, I mean, first off, the government has to make laws before Fidelity's going to do anything, because trust me, they're not going to shut down a $1 trillion plus in management business over a stupid crypto thing. It's not going to happen. So until there's laws, they're not going to really play the game. Although I have seen some stuff where they let some of their high net worth individuals that'll go there first. Rich get richer, right? And but yeah, dude, when they step in and they finally get the system going and make the announcement, hey, you can now have a Bitcoin mutual fund or ETF or whatever in your 401k. Dude, that's going to be huge for the crypto markets. The amount of capital that will enable to flow into these markets. And the trouble is, especially with Bitcoin, the only way to do anything useful with Bitcoin is to sell it to someone else for more. So the trouble is, and all these Wall Street firms, I'm pretty sure, are still carrying inventories of Bitcoin. And so they're going to unload it on the retail investors. And then my assumption is the market will crash and the retail investors will take it on the chin. It's the same story that happens every time.
Yeah, Fidelity does some great research. I posted. They actually have a separate account for digital assets called Fidelity Digital Assets. So I'd follow that account and see. Every month they post a report on something. Usually I posted one up top so you can see the account to follow. But yeah, they've been in the crypto game, I think, since 2015. They just haven't offered it to clients yet, except like Karma mentioned, high high net worth clients they have, but not the regular people yet.
Yeah, be suspect of the stuff. I worked for them. A great company. I have high regard for Fidelity. I have nothing bad to say, but there's different things. The public information is marketing. Let's just go with that. It's a nice way to put it. It's
Yeah,
not
but
like they put out valuable. It's not like it's not good, valuable information, but it's yeah, it's public.
so I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat for a second, right? We educate a lot, but maybe I'm gonna entertain for just a second, right?
I like that.
But let's just assume, right, that we've seen how during these bull runs, right, like they all are accompanied by some new trend, right? Whether it's the ICO trend, whether it's the NFT trend, whether it's the DeFi trend, like could there be people with enough wealth in this space that are tied to this innovation who are just using the secondary market and its reaction about how to get enough data to build new products? Like all of this could be a social experiment that we're all participating in as they design some other product stealthily, that's what I mean by getting a lot of this data. Like they've acquired enough data to know exactly when they get ready to start pushing products to retail, exactly what buttons to push, right? They know that humans have an affinity for memes, right? They know have an affinity for narratives, right? Like all of these things have been kind of proven out over the years that I have been in crypto. So I'm just wondering, does anybody else see that there could be any tangents to that?
I think they'll use those tools. That's not where I thought you were going to go. Can you summarize the question again real quick?
Yeah, I'm generally asking if this, not maybe in totality, right? Because there's always other people participating in an open system with different intent. But is there some people who are in almost a cabal who are testing a lot of these theories of how humans respond to this technology in order to then have the data that they need to offer the products and get the success from the products that they plan to offer in the future?
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, certainly all the software companies are going to be practicing that method. I don't see why not. But it's not like this is new stuff. I mean, this is like just market dynamic stuff. So I thought you were going to say something more along the lines of, is this deleveraging just like a shakeout so that Wall Street firms running their own exchanges can knock off some of the early competition.
You ever heard the phrase? You ever heard the phrase that data is the new oil?
It's the most valuable.
Yeah. That I believe that.
Right. So at some point they've tried a lot of different mechanisms in how to acquire that data, right? We all assume or know, right, that social media was one of those being used, right? TV was one of those being used. Like all of these different things that they try to use to get the data from us and how we react to things, how we think, how we behave. Like to me, again, I'm asking, like, you don't think that the real time 24/7 crypto, not just from a trading perspective, where what you buy and what you sell, but even what we do is as far as talking about it and what's trending about it. Like to me, this is just a data gold mine, man. Like I don't know, maybe I'm reaching.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, it's actually an advantage, I'd say, that the crypto markets have over the traditional markets. Like we were talking yesterday, the traditional markets shut down. Like what? Excuse me? Like that's why you have the after hours markets, which is like a band-aid for the fact that the regular markets are closed. It's kind of stupid, really. So, plus there's so much more data available. I mean, with crypto, you can see each transaction hash. You can see all the details of how the transaction was constructed. You can see, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's an advantage the crypto markets have over traditional markets. And I don't know of anybody I know some people are kind of trying, but I don't know of anybody who I would say has really made the most of that. I'd say FOMO's probably, at least regarding XRP Ledger, probably the most, at least public person down that road, because there is a ton of data to process and analyze. And yeah, you got to think about a lot of this stuff. It's not like...
That's why it makes me think of like some of the past projects that have been attached to companies like Palantir and what, you know, the research and the pushing the envelope with data that they were working with. Like, imagine what they could do with what they're getting from real-time crypto participation. Like, man, it's crazy what the potential could be.
No, I saw some of the analytics they did around the mortgage market in 08. And yeah, that's the kind of company that, you know, when I said at least publicly, like, in all likelihood, they have projects going. I'm sure. I mean, there's 100%. I can't. I mean, I would just be shocked if they don't. I'd be absolutely shocked. Now, are they going to talk about it? No.
Oh, it got really quiet.
Hey, Karma, since you are so good with everything money based, if you had $100,000 right now, would you put it into gold or would you put it into silver? It's a bit off topic though, but I was heavy into silver before I started with crypto. So
Whichever you're buying for me, I'll take.
I would do gold since Karma's not answering.
Although silver is cheaper.
Right, but that's just unit bias. Is what I would look at is the production, right, and the current stores of it. And silver actually has a huge ability to ramp up production. There's a lot of spare capacity, and they're not actually producing it now. So, is what ends up happening is when silver price does go up and it becomes more profitable for them to do so, they do ramp up the production of it, and then that means they have more to sell, and then the market has to absorb that all. But there's only so many people in the market who need silver for their products, right? That doesn't change. Just because of silver prices going up and miners are mining more doesn't mean people need more silver. It's just speculators that have to absorb that. And if there's not enough buy-side speculators, the price comes back down, and then they lower that ramped up production again. Gold's a little bit different because gold is much scarcer, as you know. There's a lot more silver on Earth than gold, and they don't really have the ability to ramp up production too much when the gold price goes up. Now, if it goes up a lot, then it might be more worthwhile if they think it's going to stay up there for a while to invest in new projects. But it's going to take them time because that gold is in harder to reach places like at the bottom of deep ocean floors, so it'll be quite expensive for them to get to it. So it's capital intensive, and they won't do that until they think it's going to be profitable. So gold would have to go up, 2-3 times the price, and then still take a year or two for those new production lines to come on. So silver is much more much more possible to swing right back down because they have spare capacity. They could ramp up once that price goes up. So.
Maria, thank you for coming up. You have your hand raised. If you want to go ahead and ask a question, if you have.
By the way, before that, yeah, because you have so much gold that is dig up right now, and if we replace gold, I think I was thinking with XRP as the reserve currency, and you have all this gold that is just dug up and stacked away. So yeah, that was why I was thinking I would place a bet on silver at least.
I like.
They both have huge monetary premiums. They're yes, that gold is the preferred asset of central banks, but I mean the only thing I have to say about that is there's a reason why. There's a reason why it's gold and not silver.
Okay, thanks so much for clearing that up at least. Just wondering, so thanks.
You there, Maria? Hello.
I wouldn't really want either, to be honest. I mean, what am I going to do? Let's say I have a giant gold bar sitting here on my table. What the hell am I going to do with that?
Yeah, and not only that, right? Leave a gold bar sitting on your table, depending on where you live in the world, and it'll oxidize and look disgusting.
Well,
gold doesn't oxidize.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't oxidize. I've got a gold necklace I've had on for like, I don't know, God.
Oh, I thought you were
I have
about silver.
I have a gold ring that I wear all the time. Nothing's really happened to it. I mean, it has a few scratches. But my concern would be, let's say if you I have gold and silver, but if I have like let's say I have a large amount, wouldn't the problem be finding a place where you need to transport it to, and then to see if that place is willing to pay for that price, assuming it jumps?
Well, this is the whole demerge feature on, well, it's not really on Ledger, but the demerge feature, because you have the cost of storage. I mean, this goes all the way back to like Egypt with like wheat and grain and stuff. They chart with their currency. It was a demerging currency. So until the Romans took over, then they made it an inflationary currency. But the demerge, it's a cost of storage, right? So if I'm going to have a gold bar, okay, it's probably kind of stupid for me to just like keep it at my house. Okay, people just show up here, right? That would be kind of dumb. It's like, I trust all the people that I know, but I'm sorry, the gigantic gold bar, somebody's going to get tempted, right? And that would be, so you're going to have to pay to like put it in a bank vault, or so there's going to be some cost of storage. So you're eating the cost of storage regardless of the exchange rate between the fiat and the gold. I mean, the fiat and gold exchange rate could go up and down, whatever, any which way, but you're still eating that cost of storage. I mean, unless you're dumb enough to just keep it laying out on the table.
Well, it depends a lot of how much you are planning to store them, but because you can be creative and just put it away wherever you want, but it feels satisfying at least to hold silver and gold in your hand and feel the weight of it. Something with it also.
I think to Karma's point though of storage, it's exacerbated with silver, right? So if I had $30,000 of gold on me, you wouldn't even know, because that's just 20 ounce coins. If anything, it's actually 19 1-ounce coins. I could be holding that in both of my pockets and be walking down the street fine, and you'd have no idea I have 30K in gold on me. Try to walk down the street with 30K in silver, you need a small hand truck. Silver is much takes up a lot more physical space due to the arrangement of its atoms. It's not as dense as gold. Gold is much denser than silver. So 30K in silver is like a lot. Like, so to store that and to ship that somewhere, to move that from place to place, is much more expensive. So those costs are going to be higher with silver by far.
So Scam, let me ask you
so much that the price difference is like, it was the ratio for silver to gold was like up in almost 120. Isn't that way too much that it should be? Anyway.
That's subjective. The market decides that, right?
So I was going to ask you this right quick, Scam. So, like, considering that those are the dynamics with gold, and we know what it is with other assets, right? Can you speak to what the reasonable value is, that right, and not getting into any specific crypto, of just having right a cryptocurrency, right, in an environment where you might live somewhere that for climate reasons might be uncertainty, and you could be separated from your gold and or fiat, right? And like what value from just that perspective alone, like political uncertainty, like all of these different things could exist in different jurisdictions. Like what, in your opinion, what reasonable value proposition does that alone bring to crypto?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest value propositions of crypto, to be completely honest with you. I mean, the example I gave a moment ago, where I was walking down the street with 19 1-ounce gold coins, which is about 30K in my pockets. I was pretending to be walking down the street in like a major American like city where I'd be left alone, right? But imagine you were in a hostile country and you were trying to cross a border to get out of that country. That's, you're going to be searched, and that gold is more than likely going to be seized by corrupt police or corrupt military. So if you're trying to flee that country, with your wealth in physical assets such as gold, silver will be harder, as I mentioned, because the physical space, jewelry, anything that has value. And there are, I mean, the stories are countless of people trying to free these totalitarian regimes where they get robbed. They get robbed constantly when they try to flee the country. And crypto, the thing that's so amazing about that is you don't even need to physically have anything on you. Theoretically, you could memorize 12 seed words and have zero evidence of it on you. You don't actually have to bring a hardware wallet with you. You don't even have to bring something with the words written down. Now, obviously, that's a little bit more dangerous. You may still want to try to write down the words on a small piece of paper and like shove it in the heel of your shoe. But what if your shoe gets stolen or something like that, right? So, like, if you memorize the words, no one can steal those words from your head, and no one even knows they're in your head. So once you're successfully, out of a hostile territory, as you mentioned, and safely somewhere else, you could then write down those words, purchase a hardware wallet, re-enter the words into the hardware wallet, and now get access to your family's wealth and assets. Now, of course, things could fluctuate in the meantime over days and weeks in terms of the value in the preferred currency you want to convert it back into. Or maybe you just keep it in the crypto. But we all know the volatility of crypto. But what you mentioned, Kashta, is just beautiful, from the fact that I could move value over hostile borders, or any borders for that matter, without anyone ever knowing or confiscating them from me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for speaking that, because I was trying to make it even more practical. Like, think about people that have been sometimes just in bad relationships, right? Or get accused of crimes that they haven't actually committed. Like, there are so many scenarios. You live in Tennessee and you just got hit by a 100-year flood, Tornado Alley. Like, there's so many real world scenarios, right? That if you did have your value, say in your gold, or it was cash in your house, or you know just so many things, even if it's in the bank, right? One accusation from a federal agency, right? And you could be separated from all your wealth, right? So it's like, it just seems like there's so many practical reasons to have at least some responsible exposure to crypto for just those reasons.
Yeah. And anybody who has any questions about anything in the space, please feel free to hit the request and come up and speak with us. As well as, if you don't want to come up and you want to ask your question, it looks like we have some new like chat feature at the bottom right. You can hit and also type a question there. But Maria, thank you for coming up, and also Jay, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to this. I just joined.
So Maria, you had your hand up before. Did you have a question about anything or a topic? Oh, maybe not.
Hey, Jay, how's it going? Could you maybe spend a little bit of time explaining a little bit more to us about how the Spend the Bits app works? Like what asset it's using when you send Bitcoin into it, like in terms of an IOU, and then what happens in the background when you're sending it to another Spend the Bits wallet?
Sure, man. Sure. Uh, First of all, it's very nice to talk to you in person. Finally, I'm able. I get a. I'm able to talk to you. Yeah, 100%. So the way it works is, first of all, let me start with the beginning. How things work actually. So we have integrated the Bitcoin mainnet address, you can say, as a bridge on Spend the Bits app. The moment you sign up, you will have a deposit option, fund your wallet option. Under your fund your wallet option, you have three types of asset type that we are supporting right now. First is Bitcoin, second is Litecoin, third is XRP. XRP lives on the XRP natively, everybody knows. So there are three ways to activate your wallet. First is you send a Bitcoin on the Bitcoin address that has been issued to you, right? Once the platform recognize there is an incoming asset type, the XRPL issued a equivalent amount of IOU on the network. And same goes if the customer is activating their wallet using the using the XRP, right? So now aside from the XRP activation, or the wallet activation, let's talk about the Bitcoin IOU, which I think you have lots of question and So what happened is, your main Bitcoin, whatever you are depositing, right? I think I already addressed this thing into your previous question, that Bitcoin, that got deposited into the BitGo layer. We use BitGo as our custodian layer, right? That will be replaced with Flares once we have the documentation for layer, ready to use, right? So once the Spend the Bits user wants to spend Bitcoin, that's the IOU transaction that got transacted or the public blockchain. Not there is no internal database or something like that. That's purely made up stuff. And not only that, even into the app, right? We use a view transaction detail page. Again, I can do a demo. If anybody is interested, just let me know. I can do a demo. I don't know how, but I can do it if you are willing to come up on a Google Chat or something like. Because that's where I can screen share and show you guys how everything works.
Demo with you if you want. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So which issued asset do you use? Do you use Bitstamp's BTC, GateHub's BTC, somebody else's, or your own?
Yeah, these are own STB IOUs, which are bind to your original Bitcoin amount, right? So the amount you have, on the Bitcoin network will the same amount as the IOU you will get on the XRPL network, and the IOU that you will get, you will hold the the keys for that as well, because we hand over the secret keys once the user signed up on the platform.
Right, for the IOU. And then, but the Bitcoin, you're saying that's then when you send it in is sent to BitGo and they're custodying it, and I suppose maybe a multi-sig wallet.
Yeah. So whatever by default security model BitGo has, we follow the standard practices, industry level practices for that. For the multi-sig, whatnot, right? So now here's the thing: you fund your wallet, you spend your Bitcoin, whatever. Now let's say you fund maybe $100 amount of Bitcoin. You spend $20 amount of Bitcoin. Now say, Jay, I don't need to keep my Bitcoin on Spend the Bits wallet. I want to withdraw back to the Bitcoin network. You can also do that, right? You can just use the withdraw function in the app and then select the network tag to Bitcoin, put your cold wallet Bitcoin mainnet address, and your the IOUs, whatever was issued to you, will be burnt.
Jay, you're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Let me switch the.
Oh, so sorry. I cannot. I'm talking about in here a few minutes. Okay.
Can you Ron? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm here. Also, I not have no question. Anything? I want to talk. You are sharing about the Croby and whether this is so good for me, and thank you for your inviting me in here. Communication is so good for me. I'm stay in talking and I'm stay in listening to your communication in here. So thank you for you all. If you don't mind, you can follow to me because of I went to run to Kropi more and more, and I like to your communication, and I get many experience in here. Thank you.
So Jay, I was just wondering. I mean, I'm a little paranoid usually, and like to see behind the scenes, like what's actually going on in a wallet that I'm using.
Yeah.
Did you have any plans to open source the code for Spend the Bits, or is it going to remain closed source?
No, it's gonna be closed source. We are a private company, man. We are not a open source company. We are using the open source protocol. See, once the competition is ready, they can feel free to build on the XRPL. Anybody can build it, right? We have built. This is not a year worth of effort. I've been building on this. I think Ron knows from 2019. Today is it's gonna be 3-year anniversary for us, and we just finished up the merchant portal right now. It took us 3 years of effort, and another thing is, everything I did it on my own and my team, right? I didn't took help from anybody else except from the technical help that obviously RippleX folks are there. Once we face in any issue from the protocol layer point of view.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just real
One
quick,
thing I
Jay.
can tell you. One thing I can tell you is, can I at least know your name?
Yeah,
You can.
my name is
Yeah.
Kent.
Kent.
Yeah.
Kent. Okay. So Kent, one thing I'm looking forward is, obviously I have this app and I don't want to sit on top of it, just because I created this app. So, by having said that, I'm trying to, once we have a, stable code up and running, everything is tested, a third party audit happens. I'm trying to white label the whole business process so that I can monetize on top of it. And then, people who are interested to give service offering for Bitcoin payments and stuff, they will be able to get the solution for us. So that's the whole, idea behind the business model.
I didn't know you were doing that. The white label.
Yeah. So
That's a good idea. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
for the folks that don't know, he's got everything. He's got the regulatory, the code
Yeah.
Yeah,
base.
maybe Jay, if you want to, you can go over a little bit what like Spend the Bits is and solution that you're trying to solve, and if you
Yeah.
could, and I know you, if I could just ask just for myself, if you could speak just a little bit slower, but
Okay.
yeah.
And like in the afternoon, I took a coffee. Once I took a coffee, there's no stopping.
It's all right.
But anyways, I'll speak slowly. So here it is. So what is Spend the Bits app, right? So the idea behind the app is, in today world, if you use the Bitcoin mainnet network, the transaction which you do, it takes over around. Everybody knows 1 hour to anywhere from 40 minutes to 1 hour. It could be 15 minutes, depend upon the network activities, right? So the value proposition of our Spend the Bits app is the transfer of Bitcoin can be finalized in a matter of second versus the 10-minute to the 40-minute lag time on the Bitcoin blockchain. But just by deploying a user Bitcoin on the XRPL, get a IOU, user gets all the benefit of XRP ledger, right? Faster transaction per second, minimal transaction cost, along with the eco-friendly benefit that comes along with it, right? So now, along with that, there is another solution that I haven't announced it yet, but I did a demo on the XRPL meetup just last month in Toronto. Is we are releasing a merchant portal. So what is merchant portal, right? So that merchant portal will help facilitate payments and transaction of Bitcoin, to bricks and mortar and online merchant over the blockchain. Same concept, but different mechanism, right? The user will be able to send fast and cheap payments to the merchant. Transaction will be confirmed in a very fast, efficient manner. Unlike the current solution with the Bitcoin blockchain, where the transaction is slow to process and inefficient for retail payments.
What's the fee your app charges?
That's a great question. So here's the thing about fee. So I'm not trying to monetize on the user point of view, but I'm trying to monetize more on the merchant point of view. I'll explain now. So my in-house cost, whatever number of transaction we facilitate, is less than a penny. Everybody knows that it's not a rocket science, right? But so still I want to charge 0.10%, I think, which is very, very reasonable. Even if you go to Bitstamp or any GitHub IOUs, I think they charge 0.2% or maybe 0.3%. I'm trying to charge it from customer point of view 0.10%, just because I'll be able to sustain the operations for this project, right? Once we hit the mass adoption, that 0.10% will also be reduced. Once we hit the mass adoption, obviously I'll have more money to operate the project. Now the second solution is the merchant portal, where if you look at Stripe, they
Hey,
charge you 3%.
Jay, can
Yeah.
you? I'm sorry, man. Can you slow down just a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, I follow you, but I'm not sure everybody else does.
Yeah.
I'm right
And
there. I get
keep stopping
excited about this stuff too.
keep stopping me, okay?
No,
Okay.
you're good. You're good. So
Yeah,
okay, so the merchant portal.
yeah, back to the merchant portal. So now the merchant portal, why we build this, right? Stripe, they charge you 3% to process the payment, along with their static fees, whatever, I think 30 cents for a single API call, something like that, right? So end of the day, user end up paying 3 to 3.5%, maybe 4% out of that transaction, a single transaction, right? So I'm eyeing to process that transaction by charging the merchant by simply 0.50, not 0.50%, from 3% to 0.50%, and have a static withdrawal fees for $1. Every time they withdraw back to the Bitcoin blockchain, the fee would be just $1. Now that's just a single point of asset type, that single point of fees for this asset type. Right now, we are in talks with Interledger Foundation as well. Apart from Flare thing that we'll do, apart from that, from merchant portal point of view, I'm also in touch with Interledger folks, where I'm trying to on ramp and off ramp the fiat segment as well. And the idea would be same. Once we have the standard, I think it will be most likely be ISO 20022 standard that will be facilitating payments not only for retail but also for wholesale. Everything will be handled, I think, using that standard. I think MasterCard or Visa card is also working, I think, to deploy that this ISO functionality for the payments. So let's skip some time, go into the future, maybe a 6-month period to a 1 year period. Let's assume everybody use ISO 20022 standard, for the payments, not only retail, as well for the banking needs and whatnot, right? Let's talk about now retail only from SpendTheBit's point of view. So now you only have Bitcoin right now, which you can spend. So going forward, I want our user to have a fiat capability as well, so that they will be able to spend their fiat using the Interledger. And then doesn't matter if a Mastercard is processing that payment, using that QR code, which will be decoded to the ISO standard, and the people will be encrypted into that format, and then will flow through, right? This is what my main objective is, to have a single multi-currency wallet. Not only you will be able to spend Bitcoin, but also any fiat to any fiat, right, using the ILP. And the same thing goes for merchants, right? Again, the fees would be not 0.50% for so facilitating that debit card payment, right, or a Mastercard or Visa, once we have the same standard, right? And the payout, the withdrawal would be $1 right now. And the more adoption we hit, the fees will only get decreased, not increase. So that's the whole motive behind it. It's been 3 years, I've been building this. I'm still not done yet, and I think it's gonna take 1 more year to get things stabilized, building on it, and then stabilize, get the code audit, get done again, and then slowly roll out. I think by that time we'll also have the regulation in place that will also help us, to get to the mass adoption.
Okay, so it sounds like it's 0.1%, you're saying, because I saw in your marketing materials and videos that had 1% there originally, so 100 basis points versus 10, but you're saying it's 10 basis points?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Yeah. If you spend, less than $3, something like that, I think it's 1%. I think the moment you go over $3, mark, I think it gets reduced from
I
that.
see.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
very helpful to know. I think you should post that for your users on your website when you have time, because it's something
Yeah.
a user would
So
probably want to know.
once we, the idea is once we do the full blown, marketing, that's where, I'm trying to rewrite all the website contents just to, keep it up to date, because right now my whole focus is on the app and the merchant portal, right? And keep in mind, I'm also working on full time on the other job as well. This is not something, uh, you know, uh, 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 like you can say, I'm spending 15 to 16 hour daily on this project,
Oh,
along
that's
with my
rough.
personal project as well.
No wonder you drink so much coffee. That's really a lot of hours. I drink that much coffee too.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking on mainnet right now, and I don't see an issued asset with STB as a ticker symbol. Didn't you say that was the IOU you were using?
Yeah. So the idea is customer doesn't care if it is a STB IOU or not, as or anybody else IOU, as long as they have the full authority of their wallet by having the secret key with them, right? So from the front end, even into the app, you will only see BTC, Bitcoin. That's it. The concept is very simple for the end user.
Right. I'm just talking about, I don't see the issued asset. You said it's using STB as the issued asset because it needs to have an issued asset to move over the XRPL. So you said that the issued asset was STB. I do see an STB issued asset on testnet. I just don't see an STB issued asset on mainnet. Is that not the case?
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I don't know how are you checking it, but I think if you are our customer, you will be able to see every single thing from a single click within the app. From view transaction detail, your whatever question you ask, your the central wallet issued address, the IOUs bounding, and everything. Whatever you ask, if you are our customer, you will be able to see all of it.
And could you speak to a little bit the difference between, like, why would a user want to use your app versus like the Zum wallet when I can go on Zum and I can buy a BTC issued asset from, let's say, GateHub or Bitstamp, and then I can send that around as well versus using the Spend the Bits app. And today, you could do that from any country, right? When your app, I
Yeah.
think it's just limited to Canada. So could you speak a little bit about why a user would use your app versus Zum and GateHub or Bitstamp's BTC?
Yeah, another amazing question. Okay. Thank you for this question. First of all, now the answer is, there is nothing stopping you or the user, to use a Zum wallet. Even I use sometimes Zum wallet for different purposes, right? But why specifically user wants to, use this Spend the Bits wallet to, why? Because the value proposition is that given once Flare is live, you will have the self custody in a decentralized way, versus right now, although we hand over a secret key as a some wallet, right? But somebody is still liable for your money, for in this case Bitstamp or GateHub, in our case Bitgoo, or you can held liable Spend the Bits as well, right? So that's the model I'm going away from, right? I'm going away from from the custodial services to a decentralized custodian using the Flare network, so that your single binding key, your key, the XRPL issue key, can self custody your Bitcoin as well using the Flare auto touring complete smart contract.
I see. So the future state gives that added benefit of user control, but in your current state, it's very similar in the fact that we have to trust that Spend the Bits is correctly custodying the BTC that's attached to their IOU, which you're saying is primarily done by BitGo.
Yeah. Bitgo and XRPL layer, there is inside the XRPL there is a functionality called smart contract, not contract, smart transact. That's what's take care of user funds, and end of the day, we run the cron job to reconcile everybody balance, to make sure that it matches the Bitgo, it matches the XRPL versus the customer user wallet.
Right. And one of the reasons that I was asking these questions is I'm all for transparency. And I think, like, if I was a user, one thing that I would look for is knowing, what's over at BitGo, and, like, if that public address could be made public so people could look on the Bitcoin blockchain, and then they could compare it themselves to the STB issued asset, which again, I'm having trouble finding, and seeing if they equal each other. Because if we know they equal each other, we know that the books balance, right? And that's one of the beauties of cryptocurrency, right? They have public ledgers. So we should be able to audit things ourselves and be able to see if it balances. So I mean, that's why I kind of have been asking these questions leading to that. But it sounds like that information is currently not public, right?
Yeah, it's not public, and I don't anticipating this thing to go public, because there are risks involved when you publicly see. It's okay for you are just doing this for for public awareness or something like that. But what happen if that addresses get to a hacker or something like that, and they keep attacking the platform, right? That's not good either, right? So and another thing is, I don't want to hide these kind of information. If you are if you want to know, just sign the NDA and come on board. I will show you everything that I know of, right? I can show you guys. Right? At least I know that I was not the one who hand over the secret information about the platform regarding the issued wallet or something like that. I can't be the one, that person, right?
Well, just to be clear, if the public address
For the
is
record,
known,
I have an NDA with Jay, and
Yeah.
I even know, because I don't care. I've talked to Jay before privately. I believe him to be a fully upstanding, trustworthy operator.
Yeah, Ron, I can show you, no problem. I
I'm
know we
sure.
have
I'm
an
sure
NDA.
he is. I'm sure he is, Karma. But in cryptocurrency world, right? It's not about trusting. It's about verifying, and that's why we're using public ledgers and blockchains and so forth, so people could do independent verification. The only thing I just want to push back on that you said, Jay, is you said if you publish that public address and then a hacker, then uses it to hack it. I mean, come on, we're talking about public private key cryptography. If a hacker can hack that address, they can just look on the chain for any address with a lot of Bitcoin in it, and they could hack that as well. Nobody can hack something just by having an address. That's impossible.
So tell me one thing, even though you live in a home, you have a public address. If I ask you on a tweet to to just tweet your public address, would you be comfortable publicly openly post your home address?
No,
No,
I
right?
wouldn't
Because your
post.
security is at risk, right? It doesn't matter which kind of security, but you don't want to give that away.
Physical
I'm talking in
security
that
is a bit
sense.
different than digital security, though, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of crazy people in the world, and
yeah,
we see that on Twitter all day long. But digital security is protected by cryptography, right? So
yeah.
it's a little bit different, and a lot of other companies that do similar things to you, for example, like Wrapped Bitcoin, right? The company that does that does publish both of the public addresses on Ethereum and the Bitcoin blockchain, so people can look inside those addresses and see the amount of issued assets on Ethereum equals the amount of Bitcoin that they have in their control, right? So
I
that's just a
think
common thing in the industry.
I know what you're talking about, Kent. I think you are 1 year late to this conversation. I think people in the developer community of XRPL already investigated the thing, and I think some of the people, I think, already have these answers. The issued wallet address and all that stuff. And then another thing is, again, it won't be get publicly by me right now. But once we are operating on the Flare network, and then the audited pass, and then if a recommendation has been made by the security engineer, okay, this and that information for the sake of transparency, you can share on your public network. I will post it on website for people to see.
Just real quick, Scams, because I wanted to ask Jay this, and thank you for building your product, man. I finally get a chance to talk to you direct myself as well. I've been following you and what you've been doing and loving it. One question that maybe you could speak to and maybe you can't, but being that your payments are being facilitated primarily in Bitcoin through the product only at this stage, right? I know there's some hesitancy to offer the product in the United States because it is still using the XRP ledger just to facilitate the transaction. So those fractions of Bitcoin, XRP that it takes to facilitate some of the transactions. Like, can you speak to like how crazy or the dynamics that you're having to deal with that?
Yeah. So I think we went live in the month of July last year, 2021, in the Android store, and September in the iOS store. And people, keep emailing me, DMing me that they can't see my app, right? Why? Because we wasn't live in US, and my lawyer told me, who did the paperwork for MSB Money Service to get me the license for Canada. The day you release the app worldwide, the lawsuit will be coming for you, because you cannot, because when you're talking about money transaction, doesn't matter if it is uses the legacy financial rail Swift or a new mechanism such as XRPL. You have to be obliged by the law. You have to follow the STR, OFAC, whatnot, the ML policies, right? I said, okay, that's fine. So at least we have the Canadian version live. So let's do the US thing. Let's go live in US. But the thing is, there's a pending lawsuit now, to Ripple, that that XRP is they want to label XRP as a security. And we are too small to get fail in that zone. In that respect, is if I go live, my whole business revolves around XRP, right? And if we get stuck by them, if interrogation or something like that, the whole project will be, the budget will be utilized on the lawyers rather than on the development of the project, right? So this is where I'm waiting for this lawsuit to either settle down, or maybe there is a regulation that kicks in that I can get to a comfort zone that, okay, now is the time to go live, get the license done, and then go live in US market.
I'm curious, how does that compare / contrast to like the Canadian laws? Because I have no clue about that whatsoever.
Yeah, so for the Canadian law, Ron, Alberta Security Exchange Commission, I think AASC, they reached out to me last year. I think just after the lawsuit, they wanted to see, what are our service offering. Basically, they was trying to understand the business model, and they sent me a list of questions. I filled those list of questions, sent it back to them. I haven't heard back anything from them.
How about Ontario? I know Ontario's got the strictest security commission.
Yeah, so we are not selling anything, right? There is no token that is getting listed, or there is no right now. There is not even buy sell option in the app. All we are facilitating is, if you have Bitcoin, come on, onboard your Bitcoin to the app, and then you can spend that Bitcoin. If you want to gift that Bitcoin to your grandmother, your brother and sister, or you want to spend that to buy goods and services, you can use that Bitcoin, to making a utility case for the Bitcoin using the XRP ledger. I haven't heard anything from Ontario, Security Commission. We are live there.
How long have they not responded to you? I'm guessing months.
I think it's almost over a year now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think they appreciate the fact, at least first of all, Alberta is very, very technology neutral. I'm consider myself lucky, to establish the business here. There are really pro crypto, regulators or politicians here in Alberta, right? So maybe because of them, I'm able to do what I'm doing.
Wolf, you got your hand up? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I was just wondering real quick, since there is a Bitcoin trust line on the XRPL, how many Bitcoins are issued on the XRPL in the first place, and where does the price follow the original Bitcoin price, and where does the value come from in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. You're asking question that like the lawyer asked the question. My law, by the way, my lawyer asked the same question. How are you doing? So we use Coinbase, Oracle services for to fetching the the price services, and there are multiple solutions out there to fetch the price. But right now we are using Coinbase, Oracle to fetch the price of Bitcoin.
Jay, I had a question. I was watching your John Deaton interview, and I noticed that very quickly the Lightning Network came up, but you kind of just laughed it off. How would you compare your product to the Lightning Network, and why would you use your product over Lightning?
Yeah. So consider this sake, Lightning Network case. Let's say you live in US. I was brought up, and raised up in India, back home, Punjab, right? Let's say I want to send some Bitcoin, maybe money to my grandmother. I can't ask my grandmother to wake up in the night because there is a daytime in Canada, there's a nighttime in India, right? I can't ask my mother in the middle of night, hey, come online, open up the channel so I can send you some money, right? So that's the first basic differentiation from spend the bits. XRPL is live 24/7, right? I can just send her the money, and then by the time she woke up, she will get the money, right? Another thing is, like I said, right now we use the custody solution for BitGo, right? It will go away with the flare at making the platform completely decentralized, right? But Lightning still using the IOUs with the centralized, right? Your bitcoins are still stuck with someone, right? And another thing,
No,
another
that's
one
not
more.
true. That's not true at all.
Okay, where does the bitcoin get stored then?
Yeah, sure. So when you open up with channel with somebody, is what happens is you negotiate with the peer a two to two multi-sig address. So it
Mhm.
never leaves the main Bitcoin network, and then
Yeah.
each of you sign a transaction, basically, and you each hold the transaction that says how much Bitcoin then goes back to each individual. And at any time, either individual can publish the transaction to the main chain and get the Bitcoin back to them. So as soon as an individual sends from their side of the channel to the other and the balance changes, each one then they create a new transaction together. Each one signs it, so it's a complete two of two multisig. And at any time, either one of them can publish it back to the main chain. So when you're doing this, you're the one who still holds your private keys, and you also hold the transaction with both signatures on it. So at any time, you can redeem to the main chain. So it's fully non-custodial. Now, there are custodial apps out there that do this for people if they don't want to be running a node to do it. But that's also similar to what your app is. You have to trust them and that they're holding the Bitcoin for you, and you can redeem it at any time. So yes, there are centralized services, but you don't have to use them. You can do it in a fully decentralized manner.
And how about opening up a channel? How much does it cost?
It costs whatever you want to pay for the main chain fees. So if the network is busy, it will cost you whatever the current going rate is. If you want it open instantly, if you're willing to wait some time and you put in 1 Satoshi per VByte, which recently the Bitcoin blockchain has had lots of room in it, and you could get that cleared, which 1 Satoshi is worth about 4 cents right now. 1 Satoshi per VByte, it would take about 192 VBytes on average, which is about 4 cents. So if the Bitcoin blockchain is quiet like it's been, it would be about 4 cents to open up the channel. If it's busy, it could be $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 if you want it open instantly.
Yeah. So let's assume a case where Kent, you are using Spend the Bits app and you're using Lightning app. Now your first preference is you're trying to buy a cup of coffee, and then you're using a Lightning network, and then the network is busy. What do you do in that case? Do you want to wait for 10 minutes now, or do you want to pay $10 to open up a channel to buy a $3 cup of coffee?
Well, Jay, that's a little. I think your question is a little misleading, and let me explain why. Because somebody wouldn't normally open up a channel right before buying the coffee. They would open it up well in advance to know when they're ready to buy the coffee, it's already open, and then they can pay fractions of a cent to pay for it with Lightning. This is analogous to using Spend the Bits. If I currently have no money in my Spend the Bits account, I first have to send it in there with Bitcoin. And that means I also have to pay and wait the same amount of time as opening a Lightning channel. So in your example, you're making an assumption that the money's already loaded in Spend the Bits and the channel isn't open in Lightning. And that's not a fair comparison.
No.
We either have to
No.
compare it.
So
Yeah.
no, how do you want to spend if you don't even have a money? At least you should have a money in your wallet when you're going out, right? Who does that? If you don't have a money and you're waiting for a paycheck and went to a grocery, nobody does that. You always cover your basic stuff up. You have money, then you want to go spend it, right? If you don't have money, you won't do it on the fly. Nobody does that. That's not a good best practice.
But that's the analogy you gave. You gave the analogy of me not having money in my Lightning wallet yet, and I had to open a channel before I bought the coffee. Nobody does that.
So
Everybody would have had their Lightning wallet funded already.
Yeah, in the XRPL, in the Spend the Bits wallet, there is no channel opening and something like that, right? So that's the whole point of it, right? So I don't know how.
Send the Bitcoin in, right? And
well, let me
transaction.
Same thing for
Let me interject here, because Scams, you went off on this Lightning Network thing one time, and I was like, okay, let me just double check, right? And basically, Lightning Network is like trust lines for Bitcoin. It's just another example of the Bitcoin folks trying to copy the Ripple ledger. And I'll shut up. But that's what it is.
No, it's not at all, Karma. It's not like trust lines. It's more like payment channels. And payment channels came onto the XRPL through an amendment after Lightning was already in production, just to be clear. So the XRPL copied payment channels from Lightning.
That's true, but payment channels are effectively, from a financial engineering point of view, the same thing as trust lines.
Not exactly, because in a payment channel, Karma, you're using XRP, right? And XRP doesn't have any third-party custodial risk associated with it. Trust lines are using IOUs, and then that means you're trusting a third party, and it's a liability, right? So, like, you're talking about a liability versus a bearer asset. They're completely different.
That difference is true, but the mechanism, the way that the value moves from user to user, from account to account, its payment channels are like pre-funded trust lines, and trust lines are like liability credit. It's basically credit. I mean, doesn't have to be. It can be backed. Like, you can deposit Bitcoin, and then I can issue you a Bitcoin, .bitstamp or whatever. But so they can even be pre-funded.
Right.
But it's the problem is the Bitcoin ledger doesn't do anything. It doesn't freaking do anything. So there's all this patchwork of like trying functionality. You've got all the centralized exchanges like Coinbase and whatnot. You've got all this stuff to try and patch up the fact that the freaking thing doesn't do anything.
It moves value from one person to the other, does it not?
That's the one and only thing, and it doesn't even do that well.
Well, that's an opinion.
Hold on. Just 1 second, though. Like, at the end of the day, like, the only problem I have with some of the criticism Scams is that it doesn't respect the people who choose to operate in the way that they choose to operate. Like, a lot of people still use exchanges, and I think everybody on this spaces, right, can say, like, you shouldn't use exchanges as much as possible, right? But people still choose those exchanges, and somebody out there has to build safe, secure exchanges for those people. And we can't just sit around and say, well, because we have the superior position that we're self-custody, that none of that other stuff should exist. Like, at the end of the day, somebody has to build that infrastructure for those people. And so, like, at least in the Spend the Bits model, or if you want to throw Lightning in there, right, most of the Bitcoin people are hoarders. Like, that's the dynamics of what the macro environment of what Bitcoin is, right? People who are hoarding the asset. If you're spending Bitcoin anyway, right, we're talking about just a fraction of probably what your holdings are, right? And so you've already made your risk calculation of what I'm really to risk or actually spend. So you're willing to actually consume it either way, right? And so I think we just need to have some respect and realize that we're not talking about putting a whole lot of Bitcoin somewhere where it's going to be lost. We're just talking about people who have made a risk calculation, said, I'm going to consume this amount of Bitcoin and I'm going to do it in this particular manner. And so let's kind of speak from the position of freedom, right? And even if we want to at least articulate what the risk factors are to let people make those decisions. So I just wanted to say that.
I'm definitely not the biggest like fan of Bitcoin. I just, from a financial engineering point of view, it's sort of meh. It's like, you know, the fat chick that nobody wants to talk to, that kind of thing. Yeah, she's big, but whatever, still there. But like, no, come on, like, this is ridiculous. And what Jay's doing is he's like basically helping Bitcoin. I mean, he's helping Bitcoin become not like the fat chick down at the end of the bar that no one wants to talk to. Like, all of a sudden, it's useful.
I find that derogatory.
But I don't care about derogatory. This is useful. He's improving the functionality of Bitcoin. And I know you like Bitcoin and all this and that, and that's cool. But like, this is like a guy who's put in significant effort, and trust me, I understand at least some amount of his knowledge base. He knows what he's talking about.
I also like fat chicks.
I would think you would be appreciative of, you know, what he's doing to help Bitcoin become functional.
Ron, just if I can jump in, the way, you know, Kent is, you know, behaving, I don't know, personally, to me it's feel like, you know, he's more jealous than my wife. I don't know why. You know, if somebody, for example, Ari or maybe John, you know, if they if they retweet about me or tweet about me, he is telling people all the world that I'm paying them. You know, it's wrong, man. Like, why are you jealous so much from me, right?
It's okay, Jay. Don't worry. You're doing a great job. I love what you're doing. Just keep, you know, there's a lot of opinion in the space, right? Just keep doing what you're doing. I think you're making waves.
Just to be clear,
about the chick at the end of the bar joke, but like, honestly, Bitcoin is not so functional. And like, so realistically, if you're going to try and build something, like, that's the last option you would ever choose.
Yeah, just to be clear, I support Jay building this. Kashta mentioned freedom. I'm a freedom maximalist. One of the things I like about these protocols is anyone can go build anything. No one can stop Jay from building what he wants to build. So I think it's great he's building it. I'm just trying to ask questions so it's transparent to the community. I found his site just didn't have a lot of information for the questions I was asking. And if anyone checks our threads back and forth, you know, I think he's being very nice right now explaining this all. In the threads, he was just refusing to explain anything. And he kept saying I had to dox myself and put my full name and information out there before he would, answer any questions.
Because I wasn't sure that you are a bot account, a real person. Now I know you are a real person. Yeah, you come talk to me. You call me. You know, you set up a meeting with me. You at least talk to me, right? I can explain it to you better. On you know, I'm not a camera shy person at all, right? So talk to me, right? Rather than asking me stupid question, and blaming me something, you know, which is not even true, right? You always attack me on my tweets that somebody is paying, or somebody is paying someone, or I am paying them. I'm not paying anyone except from my development team.
Well, Jay, he never says anything positive, so just keep that in mind, or encourage or anything like that.
It's okay.
And like, honestly, Scams, if you want to be like, I'm doxxed. If you really want to know who I am, you can definitely find who I am. I'm not. That's hi. Here I am. My name's Ron. Like, if you're all about transparency, dox yourself.
No, there's no chance I do that.
It's okay. Well, it's okay, Scam.
I mean, you're going to talk the talk and not walk the walk, or are you going to do both? What are you going to do?
I'm for transparent financial transactions, not for everyone on the internet saying who they are. I have to say, after seeing like the XRP community sending threats to the expert witnesses in the SEC case, doxing myself is not something that I'm very interested in doing.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay if you don't want to get doxxed. You set up a meeting with me. If whatever you want to see, I'll show you. Right? At least come talk to me. Don't just spewing nonsense all the time, tweeting on my tweets. It doesn't look nice, man. People, you should appreciate a little bit. If somebody is tweeting about me, like I am appreciated, very much appreciated them. When they tweet about me. Rather than just spewing whatever comes to your mind. If you have a question, just ping me, man. Like, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just starting.
He's gone. I'm done. I'm not. It's the negativity. It's almost like reminds me of my ex. All she did was bitch about things. Life's not that bad, man. We live on the beach. We run our own business. We got 2 businesses. Like, we got a house. Dude, life's not. What are you bitching about? Sorry. Yeah. I can only handle so much negativity. I mean, this stuff's exciting. There's so much things happening. It's really like fun and creative and exciting. I don't understand all the negativity. I'm sorry. I was just done. I don't do that very often, if ever, but I'm just done. I don't want to hear it anymore, Jay. I think you're working on a wonderful thing. I have probably only a partial clue of how much hard work you've put in. And I know you're doing a good job. And I'm just sorry. It's the bullshit. I'm not up with it.
It's okay, Ron. Take it easy. The guy is jealous, like I said, more than my wife. Sometimes, he puts a mean tweet. It's okay. Some people are really curious, but they really needs to know how to, behave themselves. This is where their, upbringing comes into the question that, do they have, manners, in place that, how do they, engage a talk with them. It's okay to get not docs, it's okay if you want to remain anonymous, right? It's all good, but you should respect the other party as well. How you talk, how you tweet, it's all affect everybody else around you.
Well, so and let's put the SEC in the hot seat because they're doing the same stupid thing. We're here. We're an agency. We're just here for transparency. Oh, no, we're not going to release any emails or any documents or anything. Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, again, are you going to walk the walk or are you just going to talk the talk?
Yeah.
And back your word up. Like, come on. Sorry, gets annoying.
Jay, just real quick, I noticed that when you were explaining your progress, that it seems like through your evolution, right, you stumbled upon, or maybe with intent, right, an opportunity to really make your product a settlement layer that makes transactions cheaper for merchants and customers, period, right? So, like, I'm really interested in how you stumbled upon that, and am I really reading the tea leaves right on that aspect?
Yeah. So the idea is to create this platform as a one solution for all type of payments, right? This is where after Flare we are eyeing on ILP integration, so that people are comfortable accepting fiat. You send Bitcoin, they accept fiat. The beauty of ILP, open up the walled gardens, right? So once we have that, the code is audited, everything is good to go. That's where the real business begins, right? That's where the mass adoption begins.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And for people who may not know, because I've been following a long time about when he's mentioning Flare, like the objection that the other person was talking about, the custodial aspect of the Bitcoin, right? In the model that Jay is evolving to when you add Flare, right? Well, you're holding that FBTC, right, as the actual, instead of IOU, right now you're holding that FBTC. Well, the FBTC is basically insured by the flare that's attached to the smart contract of it, right? So in a worst case scenario, if something happened, you would be compensated in enough flare to then buy back the amount of Bitcoin that you had deposited. So you're never at 100% risk of losing the deposited Bitcoin. So for people who weren't aware of the flow and how that actually works and what he's evolving to, that's the way that I kind of perceive it. If he wants to explain it a little better, that's what he's talking about.
So let me explain this thing as well, right? So the way it happened today is, when the user sign up, we send over the XRPL keys. Those keys are good for your any IOU or your native asset XRP, in a self custodian way, right? But in today world, that Bitcoin, those Bitcoin custody is with BitGo. Something goes wrong with BitGo, customers are at risk. Although I'm really really confident with BitGo, nothing will happen because they are also insured. By the way, I think FDIC or something like that, right? But now let's talk about how Flare will solve this. So Flare will basically replace BitGo, and the moment you are depositing your Bitcoin, I think that will bind up with your key that you can access not only on XRPL but also on the Flare as well. So that's kind of a game changer, not only for Bitcoin, but we're gonna support every single thing that Flare will support. All the blockchain they will support, we will support too. So and another tokens can also be added. But these things will happen. It will take some time, to industry to understand that all the nuances around it, and all the technical aspect around it, right? But the basic idea is to get user get the user a freedom or a financial freedom, so that they can self custody, self own their own digital asset, including Bitcoin, or maybe starting from the Bitcoin.
Could you see your guys could you see yourselves maybe because anybody can act as an agent, right, and provide that collateral to the network. Could you
Yeah.
see yourselves using or working with other agents, maybe having some sort of extra payout to work with an agent, or will you guys be acting as the agents for yourself?
Yeah, so this is the question that we haven't got an answer yet. Internally, we discussed about it. I think most likely we will involve community agents, just to enable more trust into it, right? Again, if we run those agent kind of a thing, again somebody will come and blame. Okay, why are you running this agent thing? This the whole point of this goes against the Satoshi vision and all that, and right. So I'm trying to minimize all this garbage nonsense. So I think it will most likely be a community based agent that we can utilize, and that will be a win-win scenario for community who are running those agent mechanisms, so they get incentivized in some way, and then also build more trust with Spend the Bits.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing what you guys do with it. By the way,
Yeah.
guys, we're right on that 30 mark. We got a couple more minutes. If anybody has any questions in the audience,
I have question. I have one more question.
Oh yeah.
And it's for anybody who is involved with the Flare project, and if they have more insight, because I'm usually catching up with them on the Discord channel, and I never get all the answer that I'm looking for, because I'm busy sometimes. So my questions are, when do they publicly going to release the documentation, technical documentation?
It should be the week before the token distribution. So it should be hopefully in the next couple weeks, I would say, because September is going to be the token distribution, most likely towards the end of September.
Oh man, okay. So one more month delay, right? So this.
What are they waiting for the audits to be done?
No, I don't know. The technical documentation should be out for FBTC, for FXRP, for XFETH. It's not there. That's the reason we are behind the development for this Flare integration, because I've been speaking about Flare so many times, but we don't have the technical documentation to even to get started with it. So initially, I will do a POC, just a quick POC to see, how does it look like, and if there is any improvisation we can do, and then we will do the full-fledged development on top of it. But again, the document needs to be released.
Yeah, it
I
looks
don't want
like
to
what they
totally
did.
change the subject, but Rippleton, I see you down there. I just invited you back up to speak. I saw you popped up earlier when the conversation was a little more technical, and I'm curious as to what you might have been thinking, if you want to speak up.
Yeah, and just real quick, Jay, it seems like what they did was correlated it to the protocols that they're rolling out, right? So the documentation is probably there for the protocols that are live. And then since the state connector and some of those last aspects for the F-asset system are not actually live, those documentations are going to kind of be simultaneous with the functionality of those protocols. So that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. So, another thing is I keep on asking in that Discord channel, and then they keep up, keep on telling me there is no ETA for to be released. So that's where, I get, skeptical, like when they are going to release it. But I'm very much looking forward to it, since it's a permissionless. I don't need a permission. All I need is technical documentation to help my team understand, okay, just go ahead, use this as a base layer of example and build the product that we want.
And I think they've reached like 5 or 6 FTSOs who are functionally running the nodes now on Flare. So some of that documentation is definitely kind of floating around. They were able to plug right in.
Yeah, I'm mostly interested in the FBTC and whatever F documentation, whatever is the F documentation, that's what I'm interested in, because whatever Flare is supporting for all the blockchains, we're gonna support natively into the app. So it would be front end, or maybe it would be, back end would be filled of two things, XRPL and Flare. For Flare for the custody, and XRPL for the payments, something like that.
Hey Jay, I hope so. That ILP stuff you were talking about earlier is
So for ILP, I got lucky with ILP actually. I just had a call with Alex. I think Alex is the name. He's the tech lead for ILP, Interledger Foundation. Very nice guy, by the way. Very, very nice guy. I did a demo to him for STB. At that day, merchant portal wasn't ready, so I wasn't able to do the demo for merchant. But he got the sense that what we are trying to achieve. And he pointed me to the right direction. Actually, there is going to be a major upgrade that is coming. I think end of August for ILP, and right after that it will be live in production. Yeah. There is a major. I think they are all getting together in Berlin. That's what he told me, to do that final push for ILP, and that will change the whole landscape of payments. I think it will open up all the capabilities what ILP can deliver.
Well, I
It
know
took them 3 years.
I know they're doing a thing in New Orleans. I think in November.
Yeah, that's a tipping party. That's a tipping party after the go live. The go live is happening in Berlin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they invited me for a W3C conference that is happening in Vancouver. I think that is in the month of September. I think next month, 14 or 15. But I wasn't able to apply to that because I think they require a higher level of membership, and we don't have that. So I have reached out to back to them, if somehow we are able to attend that meeting, because I think most probably what we have to do is once we integrated with Interledger, will have to become a node in the or a connector into the network.
Yeah. Are you considering going to New Orleans? Because I was thinking about it.
I'm considering to going into the WC3 conference, which they asked me to attend. They said, this is the way you will be, become part of the Interledger. That is happening next month. But not next month, next to next month in the September, right after the Apex call. So let's see how will that go. But if not, if I didn't get a chance, then maybe I'll try to come New Orleans to meet up the team. But I'm looking forward to meet them all, so that we can do whatever integration that is required from Spend the Bit side of it, and build more trust by doing the networking.
Cool. I didn't know about some of that.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Before we close up, Rippleton, thank you for coming back up, man. If you'd like to.
That's all good, mate. I've been traveling down the coast, so I've been in and out. I've caught little bits of the convo, but not all of it. But somebody said you had a question for me.
Well, you popped up when the scam guy and was kind of.
I had invited him up before.
Oh well, I figured you might have had something to say, or maybe you didn't. If not, whatever.
Oh no, I got invited up, but so I accepted, and then I got disconnected. So, but yeah, I
See,
saw a bit of what that scams guy was going on about, and
yeah, for the Kent, I would only say, it's okay to be skeptical, but you should not lose your integrity, or and start insulting or pointing finger if you don't know what you're talking about. Always try to talk in sense so that other person can respect your your talk, and then give the answer whatever the very best they can do, right?
yeah, absolutely. Hey Jay, what's your product? I've missed what your product was, what your app is. I'd love to have a look at it.
Yeah, here we go again. So, the app we have launched is the P2P and P2P, where we have tokenized the Bitcoin segment. We have made a bridge to the app and integrated that bridge into the app, Bitcoin mainnet address, where you can deposit the Bitcoin, and equal amount of IOU will be issued to you in the form of BTC, and that BTC you can send it to your friends and family, your grandpa, grandmother, or friends and family, whatever,
Yeah.
right? And also we are rolling out a merchant portal where merchant around the globe will be able to accept Bitcoin payments in real time.
Okay, cool. So, rather than have to go through the whole spiel again, can you just flick me a DM with the details so I can read up, have a look at it, and check it all out?
Yeah. So what details are you looking for?
Oh, just have you launched the app? Is the
Yeah.
app live?
We are live in Canada. See, we are a money service business. That's the
Okay.
thing that
Yeah. If you can just flick me any info that'll link me to the information about the app, and I
Yeah,
can
so
just
you
have a
can
read up
you
of it.
can visit spendthebits.com. You will be able to see
Which one?
most of the
Sorry,
information. Spendthebits.com.
Spend a bits. Oh, yep, cool. Yep.
Spendthebits.com.
Yep, I've heard about it, so I'll go and check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, I love your accent.
I love
They
yours.
don't keep me.
You're like
Actually,
a freight. Yeah, you're Indian, or I presume.
Yeah, I'm from India, man. I'm from India. Like, I'm now Canadian, but I was bought
Yeah.
and raised up in India.
You always talk, you Indians always talk like an overloaded bloody train on the Indian railway. It's 100 miles an hour.
I would take this as a compliment because I know this is where I'm bad at.
what's
you
funny?
always,
I don't know where you are in New Zealand, but I'm sure you probably know Dunedin.
yeah, I know Dunedin. I'm about 500 k's north of Dunedin. I'm in Christchurch.
Oh, okay. There's a good surf break there. The both my brother and my girl went to Dunedin, like for uni.
Oh yeah, they go to med school.
Yeah, did the thing, and oh my goodness, the pictures, they're beautiful.
Yeah, that's glorious.
Beautiful.
I'm actually sitting on the coast now. I'm on the hunt for some whale. It's whale migration season, and they migrate from Antarctica through to Tonga, the humpback whales.
What did you
And
lose your electricity and you gotta like get some whale oil and you're just hunting the whales?
no, to photograph them.
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, but I'll get if I find one close enough to shore, I'll get my drone up and put it above it.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I got a buddy with one of those things. I want one. He's got a fish hook on it, actually. So you can take the camera off and you can put this little it's all it is a little rod that goes from one so you put your fishing line in the thing and you close the rod, right? So it holds the fishing line. And then you fly out to like past the sandbar, and then you hit a button on the remote and the bar goes away, which drops the line.
Yep.
So you can like basically effectively cast out further than you ever could, manually.
Yeah, they used they're used extensively down here by the fishermen, especially for taking the long lines out. The lines with 100, 200 hooks on them. They'll just feed them out using their drone. Take them a kilometre offshore.
You're not allowed to do that here.
Oh yeah. Oh.
No, you're not allowed to do that. No, you can't do that. Not the long lines, because the fish population. I mean, we're in Florida, man. So there's so many people that fish. I mean, it was in the 90s when the first time my grandfather went out fishing and never caught a fish. Like it's the fish populations, the size of the fish are down. I mean, the quantity of the catch, you can't. It's not like it was, say, 100 years ago. It's the populations are just not there. Anyway, that's completely off topic, and it's probably time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody does want to help support what we're doing, there's some crypto addresses up there you can donate to for the time being. We'll get the bank account thing as soon as I get that wrapped up. And
if you got a quick minute, if I could just give a quick plug to all those who, with regard to the XRP ledger amendments and what have you, holding a talk with Nick Bogalis and Daniel from CSC Casino Coin. We're having an AMA on the XRP Ledge Dev Discord on the 3rd of August. There's details on my timeline and also on the XRP LF's timeline. Just advising of the times and what have you. It's just an open discussion, answering questions on the amendment process and validation, how validations, etc. work, and all those nitty-gritty questions.
It's already on my calendar.
Yep.
Good man.
I'll be posting it all over.
Good stuff.
Thanks much, guys, at least for holding the space today. It's been interesting. So
Always.
Thank you, guys.
Always a pleasure. We had so many great minds that came to the space today, guys, and I like to thank everybody who comes, everybody who might listen to this in the future. I hope you guys find this information valuable, because I know I learn things from you guys every single day. And love everybody. We'll see you guys in a couple days. We'll see you on Monday, actually. That's right. Today's Friday. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jay, for dropping it. Really appreciated hearing about everything, and